If I may, Mr. Smedberg, you made a comment about transit equity. Can you define that for me?
Right here, Congressman. Thank you. Transit equity is something that that we strive for all the time, and making sure that transit is accessible to all members of the community. Particularly those people who are transit dependent.
Who are what?
Transit dependent. We have a lot of people in the region who are transit dependent. They require it to not only get to work, but to go buy groceries, to get to doctor's appointments, to take their children to school. So we look at, and it's not, it's the range of everyone economically.
Okay, thank you. And can you tell me, Mr. Charrington, you said that the investigation is now in its 4th month, right, of the train derailment?
Yes, sir.
When do you expect that to be completed?
Within the next couple of weeks, I believe.
Okay, so within the next couple of weeks, you'll have a completed report that you can provide to us as to what happened.
Congressman, I just want to be clear that we investigated what the chairman asked us to investigate. However, we have another investigation regarding Kawasaki with the DOT IG, and I can't give a timeline on that because it depends on a lot of other sources. However, to answer the communication question and what WMATA should have provided to the WMSC, those will be in a final report within the next several weeks.
Okay, all right, thank you. I look forward to seeing that.
Yes, sir.
Whether we attribute this decrease in WMATA to increased teleworking policies, restricted public access to federal buildings and other destination spots, or a fear of discrimination because of vaccine status, there has been a significant decline in the number of visitors and commuters using WMATA over the last 2 years. During that same period of time, as we've heard mentioned, the crime rates committed per passenger have nearly doubled, from 45 to 89,000, or from 45 to 89 per 10,000. So we know that the initial impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic were unavoidable, and millions of individuals chose to temporarily avoid public transportation out of an abundance of caution. But we are now more than 2 years since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, and while many businesses and local economies are starting to recover, Washington, D.C. continues to see a slower economic growth than many other cities. So, Mr. Ditch, I have a question for you. Do you believe the continued decrease in passengers is only a result of the sincere health concerns, or rather a side effect of the overreaching policies and mandates that discourage individuals from traveling to our nation's capital, or maybe something else?
I think it's absolutely both. We had someone mentioning the decline in tourism. There are some tourists who might be concerned about traveling to a metro area because they don't want to be exposed to COVID. There are some travelers who would be discouraged from coming to Washington, D.C. because they don't want to have to worry about bringing a vaccine passport or masking up practically everywhere they go. One of the more structural issues is that WMATA's financing was frankly unsustainable before the pandemic. It's worse now. We have no idea if it's even going to get back to where it was in 2019, let alone to a level that would make any sort of economic sense.
Okay, so in a follow-up to that, so because they've collected less revenue from fares, WMATA has had to rely more heavily on pandemic relief aid to fund operations. So as a fiscal policy analyst and considering the current COVID-19 mandates, do you believe WMATA's current budget and operating structure can be sustained for the foreseeable future without further bailouts from the American people?
Absolutely not. The ridership rebound has been very slow. And again, we all hope that the pandemic will recede, but we also, I think, unfortunately should expect future waves. And if we see another wave of restrictions and mandates in cities like DC, we're just going to get sustained lack of ridership and sustainable revenue.
Okay, thank you. In closing, while there is no denying that the COVID-19 pandemic temporarily disrupted WMATA's operations and revenue stream, it is becoming increasingly evident that it is the tyrannical policies and mandates perpetuated by Mayor Bowser and Democrat leadership that are creating an economic train wreck for our businesses and communities. You know, the Constitution gives Congress the authority to exercise exclusive legislation in all cases whatsoever over the District of Columbia. Congress has both the authority and the responsibility to ensure D.C. policies are in the best interest of its citizens. However, rather than eliminating bad policy and working to put our nation back on solid financial footing, I think my Democrat colleagues have chosen to repeatedly pass the buck of fiscal responsibility and advance ultra-liberal agendas that strip away millions of Americans' rights. It's only when we get serious about the myriad of crises plaguing our nation, holding hearings on those specific crises, that we can begin bettering our nation. Thank you, and I yield back.
Congresswoman West.